Hello everyone, this is Amir. Um, there's been something that's been on my mind for a good bit, and I haven't had a chance to talk about it lately. I've been so busy lately. Me and my wife were just talking, and we was talking about old movies we used to watch as we were kids, and compared to some of the movies that's out today. I feel like um Hollywood in general is losing steam over original ideas for movies. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some entertaining movies out there that I actually still enjoy. I mean, we're basically thriving on superhero movies as of this moment because there's a lot of superhero movies out there right now, and namely Infinity War, which um which is something that I've been looking forward to seeing in a very long time. All characters, you know, from different backgrounds, all in one huge movie. And I think that's by far the most original idea because it's been building up to that point, and it's the best idea I've seen in a while. But other than that, some of the other genres that we grew up watching, such as action movies, suspense movies, horror movies, and funny movies, which I kind of beg to differ that they are funny movies because there's some few movies that are supposed to be funny, but you don't get to laugh in it because it's not original. You know, this is basically someone who basically had this idea in their head and just wanted to make a movie about it. And I was like, you get the as you're watching this movie, you get the feeling like you've seen this before. If you're an '80s baby like me, and you reach a certain age, in your life, and you start watching movies that came out in the '80s that you have yet to see, and then you were so like you ever get. Let me ask you this: have you ever watched a movie when you was a kid and you don't quite understand the whole concept of it until you watch it again like 20 something years later? And I was like, oh, and you say to yourself, like, oh, I get it now. I know what this movie's about. And you say to yourself, I used to watch this movie when I was a kid, and I didn't know, I didn't quite understand the full concept of it. But when you grow up and you watch it with fresh eyes, and it's like, oh, wow, I get it now. And it's like, I love having that feeling, of watching a movie that I have not seen as I was a kid, and then you look back on it now, and you watch it again, and you're an adult. And I was like, you say to yourself, Hollywood has some original ideas back then, and it works. But I feel like it's losing steam, especially when it comes to some of its franchises that we have grown up watching. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a huge superhero fan. I love superhero movies, and but I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. Superhero movies is not gonna last very long because at some point or another we're gonna get tired of it, and we're gonna want to see something original, something that doesn't have anything to do with superhero movies. Um, Me and my wife were just talking about the Terminator franchise, which I have been reading about, by the way, and they're actually going forward with the sixth installment in the Terminator franchise. And as I look at this picture, because I don't know if you guys saw it on the internet or not, they actually leaked out a picture And it has three females. Two of them you might not recognize, but one of the females I actually do recognize. It turns out to be none other than Linda Hamilton, who is best known for playing Sarah Connor in the first two Terminator movies, and we have not seen her in a Terminator movie since Judgment Day. That's how far back has been since we've seen Linda Hamilton in anything. And I'm like, okay, where are they? I'm saying to myself, I'm like, okay, where are they going with this? Because is this their way of trying their absolute best to keep the franchise alive, or did they have an original idea on their hands? Because I've just, you know, it's been confirmed that Schwarzenegger is coming back and Linda Hamilton is back, but where are they gonna go with this? What's gonna be the plot line for this new Terminator movie? Is it an original idea, or is it something they coughed up? Because from what I've been hearing, there's been speculation that they are going to ignore the events that took place in Terminator 3, and there was Salvation, and there was Genesis, which I had high hopes for, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I see what they was going with Terminator Genesis, and it completely flopped. And I was like, I haven't disliked a Terminator movie since Terminator 3. So as I was reading about the sixth installment, and I'm like, okay, where are they gonna go with this? But there's been saying that they're going to ignore the events of Terminator 3, Terminator Salvation, and Terminator Genesis. That's been confirmed. So it might be whoever's directing this movie. I wish him all the best. I hope this is a good original idea because I haven't seen a good Terminator movie in quite some time since Judgment Day. Yeah, and that was back in 1991 when Hollywood was still thriving on original ideas. God, I miss the 90s. And there's another movie I was talking about, and me and my wife, we just talking. We always talk about things, especially movies. Um, there's been a few actors out there who are literally due for a comeback. Prime example, one of my favorite comedic actors of all time is I'm a huge, huge fan of Jim Carrey. I've been watching him since In Living Color. Yeah. Yes, In Living Color, for those who don't know, it was a sketch comedy back in the early 90s, and basically every comedic actor I had to start off from there. Um, Most notably, Jamie Foxx, who is now who is now an Oscar winner, which I never thought in a million years that I would actually see. And props to him. And then I was like, I never thought in a million years. I said to myself, I never thought in a million years Jamie Foxx would win an Oscar because like back then he was hilarious in A Living Color, and he was hilarious in a few early movies that he's done in recent years. And but like I said, I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan. I haven't seen Jim Carrey in anything since Bruce Almighty, and that was how long ago? How long was Bruce Almighty? You don't know?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, a long time. We don't remember what year it was. All I know, it was a very long time. It was one of those times when I actually knew some people in the movie theater, and I actually got in free to see Bruce Almighty. That's how far back I go. But I haven't seen Jim Carrey in anything as of late. And I think he's one of those actors who's literally due for a comeback. I miss him so much. Um, but it's been bugging me lately. Like some of these movies are losing, their originality. And I haven't been too big on horror movies, but for those who are Michael Myers fans out there, there's another Halloween movie coming out, and I'm like, okay, where are they going with this one? And it turns out they're bringing back none other than Jamie Lee Curtis as the original Laurie Strode. So it looks like it's going to be taking place many years later after the events of the very first Halloween movie. So it looks like they're going to pick up from there. They're going to ignore the events from Halloween 2 and so forth. So this is like a new original story for the Halloween franchise. Like it's basically on saying like, okay, what's Laurie Strode been up to since those events? And and I seen the trailer the other day, and it looks like that Laurie Strode is actually preparing herself for battle for Michael Myers. So she's been anticipating him for coming back for quite some time. So she's been, you know, gearing up. She's been she's been having, secret basement entries. She's buffed up. She's out there on the shooting range practicing with shotguns and handguns. I'm like, okay, I haven't seen anything like this since Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And I was like, she's literally about gearing up to do battle with Michael Myers. And I'm like, okay, I see where they're going with it. And like, I mean, there's some people out there that know how to do original ideas for movies, and there's another that right there is another original idea that I haven't seen in a very long time. And but in sci-fi movies, man, don't get me started. I'm a huge sci-fi geek. Um, Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I haven't really been too kindly to the new Star Wars movies that have been coming out. Um, I mean, I understand it's their way of keeping the franchise alive. I mean, there's some huge Star Wars fans out there, but I will hold the original trilogy to the heart because my favorite villain in the Star Wars lore is, for me, is Darth Vader. I think that's probably one of the most iconic, badass villains in movies. So if you want to do like a top 10 villain list on your spare time, Darth Vader would probably be number one. I mean, it'll be a top, like, for me, like, I'm at a, like, cause it's tough for me to do a list like that because, Darth Vader is pretty iconic. He's a badass. He's menacing. He's very calculating, and but there's something about the character that always drew me to him because he's probably like I said, he's probably one of the most iconic villains in history. Because if I gotta rank him up there, it's like for the number one spot, it's a toss up between Darth Vader and the Joker, which they're also doing another movie for. I mean, I'm saying how many versions of the Joker can you actually do? Because when I was younger, my aunt had me watch. She sat me down and had me watch the 1966 version of Batman that used to come on way back when. And I love that Joker. I'm not gonna say I love him. I like that Joker because he was very funny, and he's actually one of those. He's actually the very first Joker that I actually know that can actually throw down in a fist fight. Because like when you see this Joker, and this is by far like this is actually the first Joker that knows how to throw down in a fight. And but when it came to Jack Nicholson's Joker, oh my god, I was like, this is like the funniest villain I've ever seen. And I can't help myself but laugh at a villain like that, like Jack Nicholson's Joker. He's probably by far the only supervillain I know who knows how to dance to a Prince song. But I mean, there's so many interpretations of the Joker that you actually do. I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker was absolute the best. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's better than Jack Nicholson because these are two interpretations of the Joker. I mean, if you love Jack Nicholson's Joker, you can have that. If you love Heath Ledger's Joker, you can have that. But the recent Joker was in Suicide Squad, and I was kind of on the fence about it because I was like this. I was looking at this movie because this is nothing compared to Nicholson's Joker and Heath Ledger's Joker. This is actually like this Joker right here was like a thug who basically was a fan of the Joker. He was like he's such a fan of the Joker so much that he actually decorated himself as the Joker. Cause this right here wasn't Joker to me. Like it's something about his character that was a little off. And I know now I found out that they're doing a movie about the Joker himself, and where we're gonna go with this character now. Like, what story we're gonna tell with this? I hope it's an original story. But like I said, I really feel like to me Hollywood is losing steam because there hasn't been. To me, it could be just me. I'm not sure how other people feel, but I really feel like there's not an original idea for movies anymore because the only movies we have to fall back on is superhero movies. You know, because it's entertainment. It's by far one of the most entertaining genres out there, and I feel like that's all we have to fall back on. And I don't want to be. I love superhero movies. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to continuously, fall back on it because I'm losing interest in other genres. And but as far as horror movies, yeah, they're kind of like cheesy to me because we go into a horror movie, we don't we go in there with high expectations because we know what we're going to expect. We're going to expect jump scares, and sometimes some of these jump scares can actually throw us off, but we get tired of it. We don't want to watch a horror movie just for jump scares. We want to see a story unfold. And actually see a true definitive storytelling within these horror movies. Because none of us has the idea of going to a horror movie say, hey, you want to go to see a horror movie for jump scares? Um, and it's like, nah, I don't want to. It's like because we get tired of it. We get tired of it, and I mean, I'm looking forward to Glass. I know that's not a horror movie. I mean, you could label that as a it's strange. It's strange to label Glass as either a superhero movie or a suspense movie with with a little bit of a superhero twist. Um, I mean, just because it has a superhero twist doesn't mean it's an actual superhero movie. But it does have that little bit of a superhero twist. But I don't want to label that as a superhero movie. I think it's a very it's very. I'm not gonna say strange. It's a very unique. That's the word I was looking for. It's a very unique story with a superhero twist. It basically has that what if idea in your head. Like what if superheroes actually did walk the earth? and and like because I saw Unbreakable years back, and it basically gave us that idea of what if there is a superhero out there who doesn't know who's a superhero, and he doesn't find out about his abilities until he gets caught up in a tragic event that completely changes the course of his life. And okay, what if you and we're not out there with superheroes, but we're not out there doing superhero things. And sorry, I froze up right there. I was trying to word this the best way I can, and it's crazy. And I'm not a huge fan of dramas. I'm not a huge fan of drama. I mean, there's a few dramas that I actually sit down and watch that I can actually sit down and tolerate watching. Because if I have a favorite drama, it would be Titanic. I mean, yes, I love Titanic. Don't get me wrong, I love Titanic. I think it's a real tearjerker. I mean, I did cry a couple times when I first saw it, and I think that's one of the most awesome movies ever made. Period. And if somebody was actually to remake that, I would be so upset. So basically, it's probably one of my favorite dramas out there. And I love crime movies. I love crime movies. I recently watched a movie called The Town, which stars Ben Affleck and actually directed by Ben Affleck. And I'm gonna say Ben Affleck is probably one of the most accomplished actors out there. I mean, I've seen a few of his movies. Most notably, if you want me to go way back when, I would say Armageddon, and that's probably by far how I first got introduced to Ben Affleck. But now he's actually back in the superhero game as the new incarnation of Batman, and I'm still kind of on the fence about that because you know it's not Michael Keaton's Batman. I mean, it's not something that we grew up watching. We're in a stage right now where we grew up with so many different Batmans. It's kind of hard to tell which one is our favorite. And to tell you the truth, it's like to me personally, if I have a favorite Batman, I would actually have to say Michael Keaton as Batman. I think he's by far one of my favorite Batmans out there because I grew up watching him. I grew up watching Michael Keaton as Batman because the first Batman movie came out when I was like 4 years old. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance. I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to go to the movie theater when I saw it. But I kind of wish that I did. But thanks to my mom, she when it finally came on VHS, but then she bought it for me, and I was like, "Man, you gotta watch this movie." Um, and I did, and I think it was a pretty awesome movie to this very day. But and as far as comedies, I mean, there are some movies out there that make me laugh, but it turns out that the ones that make me laugh actually came out back in the 80s and the 90s and so forth. But there hasn't been any good comedies out there lately. I mean, it's not. I don't have the urge, to go to a movie and watch a comedy because it's not funny. It's not comedies today. It's not funny to me no more. And to be honest with you, like the only notable comedian out there right now is Kevin Hart. I mean, I think he's a very decent comedian. I like him. But I do want to see a little bit more of somebody else. because we're at a point right now where Kevin, we're in a stage right now where Kevin Hart is absolutely in every single comedy that you can think of. Because like it's hard to watch a comedy and not see Kevin Hart in it. And excuse me. Um, if I have a favorite comedy, it would be anything with Jim Carrey in it. Um, and we're living in an age right now where, whether we like it or not, there's a remake of Ghostbusters. For all you Ghostbuster fans out there, there's actually, whether we like it or not, it's out there. It's been made. It's done. It's on the shelf, waiting to be bought or rent. It doesn't matter. It's out there. But if I have a favorite Ghostbusters, I would go back to 1984. I mean, I wasn't born in '84, but when I was 2 years old, I actually sat down and watched the very first Ghostbusters movie, and I think that's by far one of the funniest movies ever made. And I don't think anybody can actually top that. And back then, my favorite comedian back then was Eddie Murphy. We don't hear too much of him anymore. And if I have a favorite Eddie Murphy movie, it would be anything that was basically R rated. Because, like I said, like the Eddie movie with Eddie Murphy that came out back then was R rated. It turned out to be the funniest. Most notably, it Harlem Nights. I'll say Harlem Nights because that was actually my favorite one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies ever made, because you actually get to see Eddie Murphy in the same room with two of the most funniest guys in the world, who unfortunately are not with us today, and that is Richard Pryor and Red Fox. And I love Richard Pryor so much. I miss him so much, because there was a few movies that I used to laugh in with him. Um, I don't have the time to go down the list, but if you're a fan of Richard Pryor, you'll know the movies that I'm talking about that have you laughing so hard to the point where you almost peed in your pants. And Red Fox, to this very day, he's always gonna be Fred Sanford to me. I mean, there have been moments where I actually sit down and watch Sanford and Son whenever it comes on, and I hear that theme song. I was like, oh yes, I gotta watch it. I'm curious of what he's gonna be doing now. And he has me he has me laughing so hard, and I'm so sorry that he's not with us instead right now. And it's basically like some of these people would actually some of these comedians right now who are dead and gone, they're probably turning over in their graves if they see the movies that are out there today. But like I said, I really do feel like Hollywood is losing steam on originality. Let's just put it like that. And it's a shame because like they're doing their best to keep they're doing their best to keep certain franchises alive, and they're doing their best to try to remake movies that should not be touched. Most notably, I don't have a list on me, but I do know there's a few movies out there that we had grown up watching, and it turns out it's gonna be remade. And I was like, we ask ourselves like, do we actually want to see this? And it's like, do we really want to see a remake of a movie that we actually grew up watching when we were kids, and we basically get to the point where we know where everything is gonna happen in the movie, we know every single line, and we're going there with this expectation and say, okay, what if this movie be better than the original? And it turns out it's not, and we get severely disappointed. And it's like, and it kind of, in this very strange twist of fate, it kind of inspired the movies that are being remade that we grew up watching, and it turns out not to be good, and inspire us to go back home and watch the original movie that we grew up watching, because like it kind of brings us back to when we were young. I was like, we get so excited to see this certain movie, and we know what's gonna happen, and it's like we actually set ourselves. I'll say, okay, I wish they would have remade this to what it is now instead of just twisting things up. And and I feel like that's what is doing right now. They're taking original ideas from movies that were way back when, and they kind of twist it up. Just saying, just to draw us in. And then we leave out of the theater. We spend this whole bunch of money, and it turns out it's not living up to our expectations, and we get so severely disappointed. It's like it makes us not want to go to the movie theater anymore. And that's why I feel like it could be just me, but I really feel like in the next 15, 20 years, I'm going to say that, that time span, because I'm not sure what's going to happen in the next 15, 20 years, because we're actually not going to have any movie theaters to go to anymore, because now we're in a streaming age now, where we take Fire Sticks and hook it up back to our TV, and we have internet, and we can watch every single thing that we want. And it's like I said, I feel like there's no originality anymore. TV shows don't really have originality to me, because I grew up watching. For those who don't remember, I used to grow up watching the TGIF lineup. For those who are young enough to remember what the TGIF lineup was, and I grew up watching Full House. I grew up watching Family Matters. I grew up watching Step by Step, and I grew up watching Hanging with Mr. Cooper, etc., etc. But I feel like in sitcoms, there's no original ideas anymore. I mean, they'll be on TV 1 minute, and then next thing you know, they'll last about 3 or 4 episodes, and next thing you know, they go on the chopping block, and it's like it's canceled, like within the snap of the finger. And it's like, what's the point? And it's like, that's why I feel like I think it's best that we all in the streaming age, because like it's best to always go back, and it makes us go back and appreciate what was like back then when it comes to movies and sitcoms, and it allows us to sit back and appreciate it for what they really are, and that's good original television. That's good original movie. And I really feel like that's the age we're living in right now. And is this something I needed to get off? Is this something I needed to speak on? Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many people actually feel the same. But it's something to think about for a second. So before you go to a movie or sit down and watch a television show, just take a minute to think back on it. And it's like, think about all the shows you used to watch way back when you was younger, and then compare it to the movies and TV shows that you actually sit down and watch today. And ask yourself, is Hollywood losing their originality? It's something to think about. It may rack your brain a little bit, but it's something to think about. So if you have any opinions on what this video was about, feel free to comment and let me know. Tell me what you think. Tell me what was the best original movie or original TV show that you actually saw out there when you was younger. And feel free to comment below, and I'm looking forward to responding to you. Peace.